Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, I was gonna film outside and switch things up, but it's a little bit stormy out there, so, well, we're back inside. And we're talking about Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown demo, which, if you didn't know, is already out. Now, I played through the demo and I was actually impressed with it. I liked the way this game looked from the initial trailer. I wasn't the biggest fan of the price when I found that out, but based on the demo here, it may be worth the price. I'm still on the fence. If you played through the demo, let me know in the comments below. And interestingly enough, reports of this game running on Yuzu on Android are already pouring in. This person here has a Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, and they say they're getting 60 frames per second with some frame drops. I'm assuming this game is going to run day one when it's released. Moving on, and we're quickly talking about PlayStation Vita emulation on Android with Vita3k, and it appears that Vita3k V10 is performing pretty well. Someone's got Borderlands 2 up and running on an Anbernic RG405M, and the performance is, I would argue, okay. So if you missed yesterday's video, I'll drop a link to Vita3k Android in the description below, and I guess feel free to check it out. Moving on, and we're quickly talking about PlayStation 2 emulation on PC with PCSX2. And PCSX2 got a small update here that you might appreciate. So if you're someone who likes to track their time played on each game in PCSX2, one of the issues was that if you pause the emulator, the time would keep ticking. And there's a fix here to not count the pause time towards time played. Now for me, this is a very helpful feature. I like to track what games I'm actually playing and how long I'm playing them, and I do pause PCSX2 for extended periods of time, so it's nice that it's no longer counting. Moving on, and we're quickly talking about Felix the Cat and Rocket Knight, and thanks to, I guess, Konami and Limited Run Games, and also MVG, we've got these games being re-released. Now the Limited Run Games version of Felix the Cat goes up for pre-order on February 9th, and I'm assuming it includes the NES version of Felix the Cat and also the Game Boy version of Felix the Cat. Whereas the Rocket Knight Adventures Resparked comes with Rocket Knight Adventures for the Genesis, Sparkster, Rocket Knight Adventures 2 for the Genesis, and Sparkster for the SNES. Unlike Felix the Cat, Rocket Knight is already up for pre-order on Limited Run Games and is as low as $34.99 for the Switch. It's being released for the PS5, Nintendo Switch, and PS4. And if you're a big fan of this series, they have a collector's edition with a whole bunch of stuff in it for $135. Let me know your thoughts about Felix the Cat and Rocket Knight Adventures in the comments below. Next up, we're talking about Discord, and the layoffs from tech companies continue. Discord apparently is laying off 17% of its employees. Based on this article, which I will drop a link to in the description below, they say they grew quickly and expanded their workforce even faster, increasing by 5 times since 2020. As a result, they took on more projects and became less efficient in how they operated. And they need to sharpen their focus and improve the way they work together to bring more agility to their organization. I would argue if they've got the workforce and they can't complete projects, the issue might be with management, but what do I know? But moving on from that, and next up we're talking about gaming on the Steam Deck and Linux in general with Valve and Steam and Proton, and there's a brand new version of Proton Experimental. True Reporter, Mystery of Mistwood, George McGeehan Gamer Hero, and Road to Vostok demo are now playable. They fixed a crash with Bayonetta, and they fixed a crash with Disaster Report 4 that was crashing on the epilogue. And speaking about the Steam Deck, next up we're talking about the Steam Deck, and the Steam Deck client just got a pretty big update. They've got a whole bunch of bug fixes and optimizations. They fixed a crash in Call of Duty Black Ops 3 when switching maps. They adjusted the recent games page header so that it's visible when you're changing selection. And they reduced the amount of black screen flashes that happen when opening the Steam interface while playing a game with a custom screen refresh rate setting. On top of that, if you use the Steam Workshop, there are a ton of additions. And they fixed an issue with the Steam Cloud when trying to upload a large amount of files. Next up, we're talking about Sandland, and if you're a fan of the Dragon Ball style of artwork, namely Akira Toriyama, Well, Sandland may scratch that itch for you. It's a brand new game that's set to release on April 26th. Honestly here, I'm not too sure on how I feel about this one, but it does look pretty neat. It's coming out for PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Next up, this one is wild. It's Resident Evil 2 Source, and it's Resident Evil 2 recreated in the Half-Life 2 Source engine. And it looks absolutely fantastic. Apparently this one has been around for a while, and I don't ever remember talking about it, so thanks for sending this one in, and I may check out this website and learn more. Next up, this is a quick one. If you play MapleStory or gacha games in general, you may want to check out this video. Apparently Nexon was fined about $9 million thanks to probability manipulation. So at a high level here, this video goes over how Nexon manipulated RNG to prevent people from getting items no matter how much they paid. The part that I found most interesting was that apparently Nexon made about $420 million but was only fined $9 million, which doesn't really seem fair. I would argue a $9 million penalty on $420 million is not even a slap on the wrist. It's really nothing. Anyways, if you are interested, a lot of people spend a lot of money on this game. Here are the top 10 spenders between 2019 and 2022. Someone spent $212,000 on this game. Absolutely ridiculous. Next up, we're quickly talking about MSI's new Claw, and Dave2D seems to have an engineering sample in his hands, and he talks about it and compares it against the ROG Ally. Now, I'll drop a link to his video in the description below, and I do recommend checking it out. The interesting part to me was the performance. Now, he was limited in what he could actually do and test this thing out. But taking a look at 4 different games here, the MSI Claw was running at 30 watts, the ROG Ally was running at 25 watts, and the Ally beat the Claw in certain games. Again, to reiterate, this was an engineering sample of the Claw. It may not be fully optimized, and I think Dave was limited in what he could test. Anyways, looking at these numbers here, and I'm not actually that impressed. I mean, it is running 5 more watts than the ROG Ally, and the frame rates aren't that much better. In fact, they're worse on Forza 5. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Dave also mentioned that the fan was extremely loud when using the performance cooling mode. So to be specific, Dave says it's hella loud, and that's for the cooler boost mode. Again, this thing may not be fully optimized, but at the same time, I'm a little bit underwhelmed. Now, I'm not hating on the Claw, but based on how much this thing has been hyped up, based on the specs, I was kind of expecting more from it. I could be wrong though, and I hope I'm wrong. I don't want this thing to be bad. I want things to be good for gaming. Anyways, check out the video. Let me know what your thoughts are about it. And Linus Tech Tips appeared to really like it. And last up here, we're talking about VVVVVV, which just received a real big update. The developers have been working on this one for a little over 2 years. It's version 2.4. At a high level, a lot of this work was localization efforts. It was translated into 21 different languages. There's optimizations, performance improvements, bug fixes, and even more, and the game is now deck verified. If you haven't played VVVVVV before, I do recommend checking it out. It's a fun little game. It was released back in 2010, and it's got an overwhelmingly positive review score on Steam, and it doesn't cost that much. And if you don't want to take my word for it, check out the reviews for yourself. This person says it's the single greatest platforming game ever made. This person says it's got the best OST ever. And this person says the room names made them question their sexuality. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about anything we talked about in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.